Grind Show, an entrepreneur think tank where we sit down with entrepreneurs and high-performing individuals to talk about their journey. My name is Jimmy O'Donovan, and I'm sitting here with my co-host, Tucker Massey.
What's up, people of the podcast? Behind the Grind Show is sponsored by Long Hollow Creatives, a boutique co-work and co-op studio space located at 700 North Gillimard Street. Today on the podcast, you may have seen him before and you may have eaten his food. It's Eric Pommerening. He is the chef and owner of Two Birds Street Food, where they're serving food that you wouldn't expect from a food truck. You can find Eric and Two Birds Street Food at Odd Colony Brewery Wednesday through Saturday. How you doing today, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, doing well. Good morning.
Not too bad.
You guys too?
Besides getting hit in the face with some Nerf bullets.
Well, you gotta stay on your toes, okay? You don't have to get ready if you stay ready.
Moving on. How about you give the listener a little background on yourself? Where are you from? How did you start in the food truck industry?
I'm from Arizona, and I moved here after high school, traveled around a bit, worked in restaurants my whole life. Moved back to Pensacola, helped open a couple restaurants, had an opportunity with some capital, and basically it was enough to buy like plates and chairs. So I tried to maximize the amount that I could get out of it, and that was the best option for me.
Gotcha. And speaking to you a little bit at Odd Colony, you told me that you were working at some big time restaurants in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, some of them.
Yeah.
It's not anything worldwide or anything like that, but yeah, some pretty talented people living there. James Beard award-winning chefs, stuff like that. High volume.
Yeah.
And anywhere from that to 20-course dinners at different places. So really just a broad range of advanced Southern cooking. Yeah. And kind of like New South stuff.
Gotcha.
So
Always found yourself in the food industry?
Always.
Always?
Yeah. Always. It's the only thing I've ever done for the last 25 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So what made you make that transition of working in that, fast-paced environment and slowing it down, opening up your own side hustle? What caused that?
After me and my wife had our first son, we lived for a month in Atlanta, and then after that, we just decided that we wanted to be around family. My family's out west, and then her family's down here.
Okay.
So we just kind of made a decision to move close to somebody, at least.
Yeah.
And this was the closest move, so we came down here, and I looked for a job around town, and I was lucky enough to work out on the beach at Grand Marlin. When I first moved here, it's an alright job.
Yeah,
for
that's
Pensacola.
just okay.
It's straight.
And did you work with Randy Russell there?
Yeah. Actually, I worked a year with Randy out there, right on the line next to him. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
I've known him for a while.
I had the pleasure of sitting down with him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, listen to the show. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Good guy. So I had a family, or excuse me, had a kid.
Moved down here to be closer to my wife's family. Started out at the beach, and then Blake Rushing was opening Type at the time.
Okay.
And I called him and was like, look, man, you need some help. I'm available. Let me know if I can do anything at all. So I started there as a salad guy, and then basically by the time I left, I was the chef.
Worked your way up.
Writing menus and stuff like that with him, and just kind of coordinating. And then we opened up UPH after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I worked downtown for a little bit, and I was just really tired of making other people money.
Yeah.
So I put a little bit of investment in myself, and it really paid off.
Nice. Where does the name Two Birds Street Food come from?
I get this question more than you would realize. And honestly, I couldn't think up a name, and I was putting my youngest kid to sleep one night, and he's got a piece of art in his room that has two birds on it, and I literally was like, I can't come up with a name, I'm just gonna call it Two Birds.
Nice.
That's it. And I called a couple of my buddies that own restaurants and stuff like that, and I'm like, it's a pretty strong name, dude. And so, as I cut down the list of names, it was one of the last ones, and I was like, that's really funny. And so, Two Birds was born.
Yeah, nice.
Two Birds.
What was the lifestyle like up in Atlanta? Transitioning from there to here?
At the beginning, it was pretty intense because I was working at places that didn't close until like 2:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, you get off work, wind down, stuff like that. You're not going to bed till like 7. So it's a little bit different here.
Yeah.
It's a lot nicer schedule for me. But
What did you see yourself? What were your goals, ambitions up there?
really, just work until I can find investors to have a restaurant that they want to open, and I would be the chef. You know, like kind of play with somebody else's money type deal.
Okay.
So have you always wanted to own your own restaurant?
Eventually,
Yeah.
you know, it's a good goal to get to where hopefully I don't have to work like this when I'm 50.
Right. Have some people working for you.
Yeah, you know, something I can just kind of step in like 3 times a week, hang out for a couple hours, make sure everything's on track, and then
And what
head out.
what year did you open Two Birds?
It was 2017, so I'm
Okay.
about to hit my 3-year anniversary this month.
I remember talking to
Yeah.
you about that, and I'm like, man, it's only been 3 years, but you're absolutely crushing it. I mean,
Thanks, man. I appreciate
yeah,
that.
the food that you're putting out is super good. I know I always talk to you about it, the spicy tuna flatbread that
Yeah.
you had.
That was the product speaking for
was it-
itself.
yeah.
It's hard to beat like 24-hour-old tuna out of the ocean.
I was about to say it was like 180-pound tuna, right?
168, yeah.
Dang, that's you have to break that down.
Yeah, I broke it down myself. It was the biggest fish I've ever fabricated personally.
Yeah,
It was quite an activity.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
So, growing up, you know, going through your paces in the restaurant industry, brick and mortar, what was the biggest hurdle or obstacle that you experienced?
Really? That's hard to say. I've always kind of excelled in my work. It's very, like, working in a kitchen full-time is very chaotic.
Mhm.
And nothing's ever the same. And I think I work best under those conditions.
Yeah,
When someone just hands you a bunch of stuff and says, figure it out.
right.
You know, this is what we have for tonight, and this is how many people we gotta get it done.
Yeah.
And so, really, it was breaking into the Atlanta scene because a lot of people were like, you're not from here. You don't know what it's gonna be like. It's high volume all the time, every day. There's never a slow night. So, I would say once I got in to the culinary scene in Atlanta, everything else took care of itself.
Nice. What was your first job in the food industry?
I was a busboy
Where at?
at the Gurley Street Grill in Prescott, Arizona.
Very nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
And my second day, I spilled a tray of like 13 waters all over one man. It was ridiculous. He was pretty cool about that. So
I was a busboy back in my day.
yeah.
Texas Roadhouse. Shout out to them. That was a terrible time.
I feel it.
So let's go ahead and do a new little thing that we're doing. We're doing an Instagram deep dive.
Ooh, fantastic.
So I've been checking out your Instagram, finding some pics,
Okay.
and unfortunately, if you're listening to us on a podcast app right now, you'll have to go to YouTube to check this out. Or maybe our Instagram, I'll throw it up on there.
Yeah, that
So I
was
found
old
this.
school shit.
Yeah, so this is from 2017. It's a picture of an octopus, and it is something that you're having on your menu. It's a honey and buttermilk octopus.
Yeah, honey butter
Who the
milk
heck's-
sous vide octopus.
Yeah, who the heck serves octopus out of a food truck?
Well, we live on the coast, so it's one of those things where you get a lot of people that, especially people that know me personally, that would come up and be like, he knows what he's doing, he knows how to handle all that stuff and store it and keep it safe. So I tried it out, and it was actually one of my most popular things when I
Really?
first started out. Yeah, people loved it. I don't know, it's maybe Pensacola restaurants need to start serving more octopus.
Yeah, I guess.
Where did the inspirations come from? You know, with meals like this, with when did you realize, okay, I might be onto something. I might be able to serve food that people like.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah, you wouldn't expect from a food truck.
yeah, really, I just, one day I sat down and realized I should, when I make dishes, I think about what I want to eat at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple in my brain, and then I just jump from one flavor to the next and I put it together. It's just something that I noticed once I started working in restaurants that had more of a tasting menu style approach,
Mm-hmm.
where you're just throwing stuff together that you have in house that's off the menu. If somebody comes in 4 or 5 nights a week, they don't want to eat the same thing. So it was just one of those things where I found if I sat and thought about it,
Mm-hmm.
I could come up with some pretty cool stuff. And then you taste it, of course, and dial it in and refine it. But other than that, it's just always been pretty easy for me. I mean, I hate to say that. Yeah, it's always been pretty easy for me to sit down and throw together some flavors that taste pretty good.
So a lot of us in the service industry, who have that entrepreneurship spirit, I guess you could say. We all have that day to where we have the entrepreneurship seizure, and we're like, why am I doing this for someone else when I could be doing this for myself? Talk about the time when it just clicked and you're like, I'm not working for anyone anymore. I want to do this by myself, go out on my own. What was that like?
Okay, it goes back a while actually. So my mom has owned her own business since basically I was born.
Okay.
She's worked out of the house, been her own boss, done all that stuff. So I've always known that I wanted to work for myself. It's just a matter of what should I do and when's the right time to do it. So basically I found out that I loved working in restaurants. And then I found out that, when I was 23, I was working in Savannah, Georgia at Alligator Soul, a fantastic restaurant underneath the post office in Telfair Square. And I was working with a guy, my sous chef, Seth Musler, and he sat me down and he's like, look, Eric, there's a point in your life when you have to decide if this is what you want to do for the rest of your life. Like, you're not just...
Some deep shit.
Yeah, like, you're not just 18 working in a restaurant. You're going to wake up, you're going to be 40 years old, and you're going to be working a brunch shift.
Yeah.
And he's like, decide what you want to do, figure out who you want to work for, and go study. Like, that's the cheapest way to do it. And so that's what I did.
Yeah.
And so after we moved back here and I worked around town, it was just one of those things. I was like, I've got enough resources from the places that I've lived in the area I'm in now, so I'm ready.
Gotcha. Nice.
So as Tucker mentioned earlier in the intro, you're only located at Odd Colony.
Yeah, unless otherwise posted on my Instagram or Facebook, or I'm in a private event or a party or something like that. Yeah.
How and why did that partnership?
It was just, honestly, it was one of those things that just popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I was set up at City Hall,
Okay.
and then after that, I set up at Perfect Plane, and then it was just time to change it up, get something else going, So it was one of those that I met Brett at Perfect Plane,
Okay.
and he had approached me and been like, hey, there's an alley back here if you want it. So I parked there a couple days, and I was like, this is pretty cool.
Not a bad spot to be.
No, it's nice. There's a little parking spot for me back there. I just pull right in. They open the doors, and everybody's pretty chill, and it's worked out great so far.
And I know you do some catering. Tell the listener what was your favorite catering event, and I want to know. I'm gonna let you answer it, then I'm gonna say something else.
Catering is not certainly my favorite form of culinary expression.
Yeah.
It's probably my least favorite.
Yeah.
But
I know you've catered for some pretty cool people.
Yeah, I have.
Who's number one?
Number one catering. Honestly, I've drawn a blank. So I feel like
SpaceX?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh,
no,
Elon
that was
Musk?
pretty. Yeah, that was pretty
I
cool.
was
I was gonna say no. I fed all the crews that were maintaining the boat out there at
Port of Pensacola.
Yes, but there's a specific company, and I don't want to mess it up. So it's Blue Horizon or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, it's the maintenance crews out there. But yeah, thanks for bringing it up. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I went and served 1,500 dudes off the boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, and doing that out of a food truck, that's 1,500 guys. That's
Yeah, it was
is that
pretty
normal
simple.
for like a?
No, that number's way off. It was 150.
Oh, okay.
I was like, what? Sorry.
1,500?
No, that's
Holy
crazy.
shit.
I'm a liar.
Yeah.
Scratch that from the
I
record.
was gonna say, doing that out of a food truck, that'd be ridiculous.
No, it was 150 people, but it wasn't an hour
Yeah.
because they had an hour break, and so I had to feed them from 11:45 to 12:45. So it was one of those things. I did tacos, and I did 1,000 tacos, and was like, "Here you go, guys. Eat as many as you can."
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'd say, hook me up with a Cybertruck.
We'll see. We'll see. I think that would take a lot of tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of tacos. Let's talk about the business side of your food truck.
Okay.
When starting out, did you have a business plan? Did you make a P&L statement? How'd you go about with that side of the business?
Yeah, actually, I did write a business plan, and I had a buddy that already had a P&L email me one,
Yeah.
and I just kind of altered it, for my specifications, and
Nice.
because I didn't really have an interest with loan or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Smart.
it was one of those things, and then from there, I just keep track of your Z reports, keep track of your sales, put it all, make sure it's clean, organized.
Yeah.
That way, if you have to access it or anything, it's not just a box of receipts. You're like, what am I gonna do with this?
Right. You sound like a really creative guy. So did the numbers come easy to you, or was it something that you really had to learn?
It's not hard because I'm really the only person there. I don't have to do inventory because there's no theft. I don't have to maintain like a loss record because I know how to store food and what I need to sell, and I have almost 2% waste over my total year end.
Yeah.
So it's when you have those things under control, the numbers just kind of fall in line themselves,
Gotcha.
How many employees do you have?
I have actually like 0 real employees.
Yeah.
It's me, and then I have a couple cashiers that help me through the week that basically work for tips,
Okay.
and they keep coming back, so I guess they're doing great.
Yeah.
I mean, I pay them, but
Yeah.
their salary never really, or what they make never really exceeds the amount of tips that I get at the end of the week.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I basically say it's like, here's your W-9 at the end of the year, or your 1099.
Yeah. What's the goal for you to be able to step away, to step back, a few less days in the truck?
No, this is more of a building block
Okay.
to the next step. This is so I can get some real capital and go and get 4 or 5 people together and say, here's my 10%.
Okay.
Let's do something.
Well, that perfect springboard, what is that next step for you?
It's brick and mortar, but like I
Yeah.
said, it's right time, right place.
Yeah.
I'll know it when I see it.
Okay.
So until then, we're just kind of hanging out and doing what we do.
Would you plan on keeping the food truck with the brick and mortar, or just
That's
going all in on the one spot?
that's something that I've played with a lot, and it really depends on the type of establishment that you're gonna open. You open a seedy dive bar,
Yeah.
perfect. Park it out front, never move it. Hire somebody to work there.
Yeah.
Next step,
Gotcha.
But if you open an actual restaurant, I'll sell it to somebody that day.
Yeah.
It's ready to go. Here's everything but the generator.
Nice. What was one of the first failures that you had when starting the food truck? Maybe like the first week, first month,
Yeah,
something
no,
that
that-
you just like complete learning curve.
That was, okay, really, when you open a business, you have all these expenses, and you're like, okay, I'm covering this, I'm covering that out of all my business expenses. What you don't realize is that you're probably not gonna make any money in 6 months.
Right.
So, and you're still gonna have bills,
Mm-hmm.
and kids, and groceries, and families that, need stuff.
Right.
So, that's where most of my, I guess, debt came
Mm-hmm.
from opening my business. And so the very first obstacle that was super hard to get over was just watching other people's lines.
Yeah.
And like seeing people do $1,000 days and I'm doing $25.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sitting there racking my brain and trying to think about what I'm doing wrong. What can I fix? Do I need to tweak the menu? Do I need to word it different? Do I need to, and I figured out his location. And that was very easy for me to change because I'm a mobile business.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So,
So where were you at then?
City Hall.
Okay, you were at City Hall.
And as soon as I moved to Perfect Plane, it was like
Game over.
vertical jet takeoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went from doing literally like 35 people a day to 150 a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you had that supporting business.
Yeah.
Right next to you, to where they're not serving food, but they're
Complement very well.
Yeah,
complement very well. Put out beer.
and we were there their opening night, so it was just kind of, they knew where to find us. We were right on Garden Street. It was a
Nice.
good spot, good time.
So I guess that was sort of like a ramp up period for you. So like once you go out in front of Perfect Plane, it's just like you're slammed down. People know about your food truck. People like your food. People want to keep coming back. Was that like a you could have like a sigh of relief, or was it just like game on? I gotta get better, put out better food, tweak the menu a little bit.
Yeah, no, it was game on. It was like, these people are here, they want my food. Let's see how much I can get away with, what I can get them to eat.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
like let's push the envelope. I don't want to sell French fries and burritos all day.
Was that was in 2017? Was it, or 2018?
2018.
Yeah, 18 when Perfect Plane opened.
Mhm.
So you're a year into business. Was that scary for you?
No, I mean it was. I was still doing all right. You know, you have caterings and stuff like that, but it
Right.
wasn't the day-to-day sales that you need to be sustainable. You know,
Gotcha.
like, and really, I was open for 6 months before they opened,
Okay.
and so because I opened in February of 2017, no, and then they opened in November, so it was 2017.
Okay. Before you went out in front of Perfect Plane, was there any point where you're like, this isn't gonna work, I might fail?
For a minute, and then, like I said, you rack your brain and kind of think about it and just try everything outside the box. And like I said, as soon as I figured out it was the location, it was one of the things that was fewer or farther down on the list.
Yeah.
But once we got there, you know,
Nice.
you got it.
Nice.
What were some of the trial and errors before realizing it was location?
The wording on the menu was another big one. I was writing like I was still trying to sell somebody something in a restaurant. Like, it's gonna be worth the money, like aioli instead of, like, everybody's like, what's that? Just say mayonnaise. Like, but it's not mayonnaise. We don't care, just say mayonnaise.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I just left off some garnishes and ingredients entirely
Mm-hmm.
and just put the main flavors on there, and people loved it. So, just kind of dumbing the wording down on the menu.
Simplifying it,
Yep,
okay.
exactly.
And was there any previous history with you working in around food trucks?
Nope.
This was the first.
Yeah,
first
no, it
go
was one of those things where I had talked about it with some people, and it was just kind of cool. You know, it was a big enough space that I can do what I want, and just kind of go around and, figure it out.
And this is post the food truck apocalypse, right?
Yeah, this is like
2017.
when.
So you didn't really have to deal with any of the pushback on food trucks in Pensacola?
No, that's actually why I waited. I called people, and they were like, not in the city limits, you have to be on somebody else's property, you can't have a sign if they have a sign. There was a lot of weird stuff, and I was like, it's not time yet. You know, we'll get there.
So you were smart in that aspect of, you knew it wasn't the right time, and were you just like planning in that period?
Well, I had a job,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
it was one of those things where I just was
You
waiting.
didn't need to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't forced to. Yeah.
Okay.
That's really smart.
The way I got there wasn't the smartest, but it's okay.
Yeah.
That's another story.
We can talk about it.
What let's talk about some goals, you know, personally, professionally, for the next, 3, 5, 10 years. You mentioned brick and mortar. What do you think the capacity for the food truck is? Like, is there numbers that you want to hit? Is there
Somewhere you're gonna be out in front of that you're
Yeah.
not currently.
Really, the food truck is basically just a mission to get me somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's nice, but I miss
Sound like
searing fish
Yeah.
in a pan in a restaurant and putting it on a plate and like having a butcher room and a walk-in. That's my biggest constraint right now is fridge space.
Yeah.
I only have one fridge, you know. And then, yeah, I can spend a bunch of money and get countertop fridges and all that stuff, but I make new food every couple days. It's
Yeah.
fresh, you know. Like,
not
that's
worth that investment?
works best.
Authentic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's, you know, I go out and handpick all the vegetables, proteins, everything myself. I'm the only one that fabricates it, handles it, preps it, and does it all. So it's pretty easy, you know, once you get it into a routine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of those things. And then like 3 years, I would love to have a good bankroll started. 5 years, I would love to have a place at least conceptualized,
Mhm.
you know. And 10 years, I would love to pop in on Thursday, Friday, Saturday for an hour, have a drink at the bar, watch stuff, and be like, all right, you guys got this, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
maybe. if I'm very lucky, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are multiple locations in the near future?
No, I'm more of a do one thing and do it really well type of guy.
Yeah.
I don't want 3 restaurants. I want one really good restaurant, or one really good spot.
Nice.
And really, no, there's nowhere else that I'd like to park at. It's honestly one of those things, if you keep your location pretty consistent, you do a lot better. Unless you're in a major metropolis city where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna go here for breakfast and hit the coffee crowd, and I'm gonna go to lunch over here, and I'm gonna go hit the early crowd, and I'm gonna go home. So, in Pensacola, people like to know where to find you.
Right. You were talking about you're the one who goes out and gets, you know, your vegetables, your proteins and whatnot. Tell us the difference between the variety that you enjoyed in Atlanta and then moving down here.
Okay, well, Pensacola's getting better.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Atlanta we would get almost everything from farms that were like an hour away. Chickens, pigs, and then bigger things like beef we would get from like Bear Creek Ranch and stuff like that, which isn't in Georgia, but they're a really good producer of some really top shelf sustainable beef.
Okay.
You know, stuff where people really notice when you try to make an effort to use good food, and they're willing to pay for it. You know, down here it's hard to get people to jump on that shit. It's getting better, you know, but it's something that I think everybody needs to work on a little bit. But, you know, other than being able to walk into a market and basically find anything you want up there that you could even imagine.
Yeah.
But, you know, Pensacola's cool. Bailey's is great. We've got Floribama.
Yep.
They're awesome. I go out there. And so you can really get some sweet stuff here.
Okay.
Yeah. Just had my question, but it went out of my brain.
In the food industry, you don't have a lot of time, a lot of personal time. Now, you know, you have the kid. Remember that time is, you know, minimal. But what do you try and? What are some of your favorite things to do? How do you get away? How do you clear your head?
Honestly, my favorite things to do is just spend time with my family.
Yeah.
My wife and my 2 kids, Levi and Archer. Like,
Yeah.
really, anything I do with them, we can hang out. We can go sit on the beach for a couple hours. We can sit in the backyard, sit in a hammock, you know, read a book, make a puzzle. Really go hiking, you know, fishing, whatever. As long as I'm hanging out with them and everybody's just having a chill day, it's good. You know?
That goes back to my question that I forgot, but now I remembered. How long do you spend prepping in the food truck before you actually open? Like how many hours are spent in the food truck a day?
It really depends on the day. I have a really good schedule down now, being open 4 days a week.
Yeah.
So I can get a good 8-hour prep day in on Monday and Tuesday.
Okay.
And really just touch up stuff I need throughout the week when I sell. You know, take care of all my big protein butchery and stuff like that on Tuesday right before I open. And then that way on Wednesday I'm really making flatbreads, picking herbs, freshening up pickles and stuff like that. Cooking noodles, you know.
Yeah.
And so each day has its own specific purpose. And as long as I stick to that schedule and don't try to take this job over here because it's a good idea, and do this over here because, you know, I told a buddy I'd do it last year, and it works out pretty well.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, as we've, you know, finished up and wrap up, excuse me, what's one thing that you would tell your younger self? What's one piece of advice?
Oh yeah, definitely. If you've got the ticket, take the ride.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have an opportunity to go do something, just do it. You know, I didn't think that if you'd asked me when I graduated high school if I was going to move from Arizona to Pensacola, Florida when I was 18 years old, where I knew nobody, one family that let me stay on their floor for a year, you know, I would have said you were crazy.
Yeah.
But as the summer went on, there was something about it, and I was like, look, man, I may not have another opportunity to do this or something like this again. So I did it, and I've been on the Gulf Coast / East Coast for the last 20 years. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Nice. What's one piece of content that you consume on a regular basis, whether it's, you know, reading a book, podcasts, videos?
I watch a lot of YouTube videos about cars.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I love cars.
Okay.
Sweet.
Well, Eric, again, thank you so much for taking your time this morning.
Appreciate it,
no
man.
problem.